More than 40 European leaders are meeting in Moldova for the European Political Community Summit. The leaders will stage a show of unity in the face of Russia's aggression and will also discuss the political problems that they have been wrestling with since 2022. The gathering of the EU's 27 member states and 20 other European countries at the Mimi Castle will touch on a range of strategic issues and will also launch a new EU partnership mission in the country. But the focus will largely be on a symbolic show of unity for Ukraine as it prepares to launch a counter-offensive against Russia. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky arrived in Moldova today, walking the red carpet at the Mimi Castle. Zelensky was greeted by Moldova's president. The Ukrainian president said that Ukraine was ready to be in the NATO military alliance and that Kiev was waiting for the bloc to be ready to admit his country.
We spoke about our bilateral relations, about, I think, some infrastructure, very principal priority projects, and we will sign in the closest future. I think what is very important, our future in EU, and Ukraine is ready to be in NATO. We are waiting when NATO will be ready to host and to have Ukraine. And I think security guarantees are very important, not only for Ukraine, for our neighbors, for Moldova, because of the Russia and of their aggression in Ukraine and potential aggression for other part of.
Welcoming the leader to the second summit of the European Political Community, the Moldovan president said that Ukraine keeps Moldova safe and that they were very grateful for that. The EPC summit is also being held less than 10 kilometers from the breakaway Moldovan region of Transnistria, which is occupied by Russia. The European Political Community groups 27 EU members with 20 of their European allies and excludes Russia and Belarus. All right, for more on this, our correspondent Trent Murray joins us live from Berlin. Trent, do you feel EU is finally ready to have Ukraine join the bloc or be part of NATO?
Look, I think that certainly publicly they will continue to express support for Ukraine joining the European Union and NATO, but I think privately there is a practical understanding that it's just not that simple and that there does need to be a number of discussions had. Of course, for it to join either of those alliances, it would need the uniform approval of all of the existing member countries, and we already have heard from the likes of Hungary over trepidations over even Sweden or Finland joining NATO, for example. So look, I think it is still a long road ahead, but what I think you are seeing is a very real desire on the part of the Europeans here to send a message that they are going to stick with Ukraine for as long as it takes. It may not immediately mean EU-NATO membership, but what it certainly will mean will a continued financial support from the EU side of things and military support from the NATO alliance members.
Trent, now essentially this is a summit in Europe and regarding the European Union members, but this decision is not going to happen without the United States being present there at least. Now, I know Russia had to enter Ukraine and was continuing to stay in Ukraine because of the NATO membership, which still hangs in the balance. So is this still more of lip service that is being done for Ukraine, or is there anything practical on the cards?
Well, I would just be cautious around discussing, certainly from the Ukrainians' perspective, rationale or reasons from the Russians' decision to invade. I mean, there is a very strong feeling within Europe that, this is a bigger country trying to unilaterally invade another. And so that is why you are seeing huge levels of military support. In many ways, many analysts will also point to the fact that if NATO enlargement truly was the problem for Russia, then in many ways, this military operation, as they like to call it, has backfired because Sweden and Finland have now decided to join because they're so scared of what happened to Ukraine. I think the bigger picture in all of this is that this meeting is a big kind of family meeting. 47 countries. They are not all European Union members. You've got other big nations there like Turkey invited, as well as members of the Balkans, the United Kingdom. And this is very much an effort, I think, to show that this is not just a European Union-led initiative. This is an entire Europe-led initiative. And certainly there is a feeling here that with a major war once again back on the continent of Europe, that a lot of work just needs to be done in order to try and de-escalate this situation very, very quickly.
Thank you for all those updates, Trent. That was Trent Murray joining us from Berlin.